Hello, everyone, and welcome back to your least favorite podcast featuring your least favorite RPG gamers, Getselious and Sithscott.
Hello.
This is Support Save Scumming, and we're on Save 8. That is, we have done this for 8 times in a row. We're kind of getting there.
Yeah,
And
we're
that,
almost ready to actually move forward, right? That was supposed to be 10 saves.
yeah, don't worry, we'll clear the first dungeon on time, hopefully. Which, oh god, I'll get into actually how there's a certain website that punishes you for leveling up, and I'll talk more about that in RPGs we played recently. So, while alluding to that, let me talk about the RPGs I've been playing recently. Outside of Final Fantasy XIV, you guys know that I just finished Breath of Death, the reimagined, and I feel like that the graphics are updated. There's slightly, they fixed some of the content, but it still feels like a non it does feel like my first it's my first game I made and I have a mechanic. It doesn't feel complete. Story or gameplay wise, it doesn't feel complete, but it's still a good game. Good, I still recommend playing it. It's it's definitely look if you played other games by this developer by where period you play Cosmic Star Heroine, you play This Way to Madness Lies, you play Penny Slick Arcade Episode 3 and 4, you'll definitely see the progression. It all came from here. So from there, they only went upwards. So, you get to see what it came from. It's a game over game. But now, there's, like I was saying earlier, there's a game that punishes you, a website that punishes you getting too hard. So I've been playing a lot of Phantasy Star 4, End of Millennium. One of the best RPGs for the Sega Genesis. Peak. I think, unironically, if you do enjoy early Dragon Quest games, you enjoy early Final Fantasy games, which I mean 1 through 6, you would like Phantasy Star 4. Obviously, you're going to have to learn what the spells do, like every game does, so there's certainly mechanics, but it's a great game. I've been posting screenshots and memes I made of it on my Blue Sky. And one of the things I say will punish you about this game is outside the Zeo fight. If you don't know how to beat them, I'm going to explain that for you. But one thing that punishes you is that there's a website called Retro Achievements, and they track you unlocking achievements in your retro games, right? Once your retro games hooked to the internet. I'm not going to tell you how that works. I'm not going to get myself in trouble, but Retro Achievements is a great website. I like it. I love the interface. If I actually check right now, and I'm not even joking here, if I check right now, as of today, because I'm playing so many videos, I am actually on the site rank. I am the 47,045 ranked on the site out of 107,000 people who play ranked achievements. So I'm in the top. I'm in the top 43% as of I've been using retro achievements for about 2 months now. I'm sorry, since July. So in 1 month, I have climbed to top 40%. And I've been playing a lot of retro games because I've been having an urge to play older games. You might see me stream them, like Streets of Rage 2, Streets of Rage 3, Final Fight 1, Final Fight 2, etc. So I'm just playing a lot more retro games and having a good time, right? So once I get that out of my system, get it out of there. So there is achievements for Phantasy Star 4 where the game punishes you for if you have to fight certain bosses, but you cannot be you can't overlevel. So if you fight one of the Dark Force bosses, and your party level is above a level 125, you don't get the achievement. That's right. I'm being punished for over leveling. So I have to save scum. I have to save scum and have a file to see if I can beat them at a level that's lower than that. And personally, this game can destroy you if you're under leveled, like any old school RPG would. If you are under leveled, the game will let you know. If you are burning half of your MP on every fight and you're on the first floor, you are under leveled, okay? There's no MP recovery, none of that. So that's what I have been up to. I've been playing a lot of Phantasy Star 4. I love it. It reminds me because I played it when I was younger, and I'm replaying it now. It still holds up well. Still a masterpiece. I played Breath of Death and Reimagined, and I think it's fun. I kind of wish there was a sequel to make the game more better combat wise. I do like how the game is it's the most aggressive RPG ever played. You have to be super aggressive to beat all your enemies real quick. Otherwise, basically you need a fast strategy to beat all your enemies. Otherwise, the longer the fight get, the more stronger they get, the more they can kill you.
Dang.
So that's Breath of Death, yeah. As well as like also playing a lot of Final Fantasy 14, and you may see my stream, my 5 hour stream uh, of me beating of me playing PvP both casual and ranked. I hit B2, which is Bronze 2. I've been up and down 50-50. It's been rough because there's not a lot of people who play ranked, and to do ranked in Final Fantasy 14, you have to go on another data center server essentially to play it. Before the last 2 seasons, you could do ranked anywhere, but now in order to do ranked, you have to be particularly on this data center. So you have to like cross all your characters and do that. So that's a whole thing in a nutshell. But that's what I've been up to. Just some classic RPGs and Final Fantasy 14. So, Scott, what have you been up to besides moving? And that's what besides moving.
I've actually had a good chunk of games while moving.
Wow.
So let's start with one of the previews that I have up on the site right now. Well, I guess I technically have two that I'll probably be able to talk about, but one I'll talk about a little later. One is Toa and the Guardians of the Sacred Tree, which is like a little bit of a roguelite RPG that has a lot of mechanics that I was not expecting it to have. It deals with increasing your levels through basically working on your weapons and buying stuff from the shop. And when you finish a dungeon, you actually have to lose one of your characters permanently. So they're no
Crazy.
longer playable.
That's crazy.
So it's interesting because I remember when I played it at Summer Games Fest, I wasn't too impressed because it felt just like basically any other roguelite. But the additions that they have for the preview of the demo that I played had quite a lot more depth to it. So I'm very impressed and I'm a lot more excited for it to release. The other game that I play that's also kind of a now it is a roguelite RPG is Death End Request Code Z is finally on Steam. So I was able to play through that again because I played it through initially on the PlayStation. Right now, it's only now on PlayStation 5 and on Steam. It still hasn't gotten a Switch port. But hey, it's on Steam now, so you can play it on the Steam Deck.
Yeah, that's
Which is where I
something.
primarily played it.
I guess we get what we get, right?
Yeah. And it wouldn't be a normal month for me if I didn't have a Neptunia game in the mix. So Neptunia Game Maker R Evolution is also now on Steam, so I've been able to play that. And it actually runs really well on Steam Deck. It runs better on Steam Deck than it does on Switch. So if you are someone who's debating on where you want to get it handheld wise, get it on Steam. Because you get the full 60 FPS on Steam Deck instead of the capped 30 frames per second you get on Nintendo Switch. Runs really well, and I do really enjoy. I mean, all Neptunia games are something that I always generally enjoy. Just some are better than others. And I do like their initiative they're doing of like the more real-time action
RTS
RPG elements.
is it RTS real? Is it RTS or is it like Super Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga style, like the Mario and Luigi games where
It's just full-on action now.
oh, it's full on. Wow, they got money now. Look at
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, it reminded me more of like the Atelier Ryza games battle system.
Oh
Where it's
wow.
just like you start off like normal setting overworld, you go and then you initiate combat with an enemy, and then you have like a certain amount of like what's it called? Technical points.
Yeah.
And when you do an action, you use a technical point kind of a deal. And you can keep just doing actions until you no longer have technical points, and then you just have to either like use a special move to let your technical points move up, or you just wait for it to go up, or usually what they want you to do is switch to a different character in combat who already has more technical points that you can use again. So you can just combo endlessly into loops basically with that.
That kind of sounds about right, yeah.
Yeah. So I really like that system. A lot of people don't. A lot of people still want the old Neptunia Hyperdimension Neptunia turn-based system back. But they've been kind of fighting for that for a while. And I don't necessarily dislike the Hyperdimension Neptunia battle system. I just don't think it's going to appeal to new people because, well, it's not a system that really appeals to people who want to get into RPGs anymore.
Yeah, I
Which
mean,
we can talk about that later.
yeah, we can talk about that later. Yeah, yeah, we could talk. We could talk about how
And
people have
then,
feelings about RPGs. Feelings.
yeah. And then the prime opus of games has finally had a demo, which is Trails in the Sky First Chapter, which is another preview you can read on the site.
Right. Before we get more deeper about that, can you confirm that it was actually Estelle who stopped the crossbell liberation? She was there. She actually stopped. She stopped them. Yeah. Was she there?
Is
And
all her,
it was
yes.
all her. Yeah. And
There
she's
was no other people there but Estelle.
right. And to be fair, she also destroyed. She also crushed the Ouroboros group, which was crazy.
I
And I
wonder
think
how they're gonna go forward without the Ouroboros anymore. No.
yeah, exactly. A part of me deeply wishes that was canon. I'm not even joking. A part of me deeply wishes that was canon. Like it was actually her because this game's a reboot for all intents and purposes. It's like a reimagining, it's a remastering. So it's like, what? Why don't we tell? What? Why don't we tell? What we really want to say? What do you guys want to say? I want to say that Cell actually did it.
Stell is OP. No.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah, and as you allude into Trails in the Sky first, we're gonna talk. Let's talk more about that. You had a chance to play the demo. Demos online.
Yep.
I'm gonna be playing the demo soon because I have been busy with so much other projects you'll be seeing on the YouTube page soon. So you can probably start
Oh
to
yeah.
touch it. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's pretty awesome. So Trails in the Sky remake, first chapter. It's a demo, and it's not done by NS America. This is done by Gung Ho Online Entertainment, which is interesting that they switch publishers. But hey, Falcom does whatever Falcom wants.
Right. I mean,
But it's really because they want NES America working on the Trail series moving forward, and then they want to have Gung Ho working with them on the remakes.
right, right. That's exactly the thinking I was thinking about when I saw like Gun Ho on here, and I think Gun Ho has worked on releasing some of the physical remasters. I think they did the for the Yeast series, correct? The Felgen.
Yep, yep,
Yeah,
yep.
exactly.
So
Yep.
they worked on helping out with that. Um, it's also interesting to also note, I think we might have said this earlier in one of the other ones, but the president of Gung Ho was someone who used to work at Xseed back when Falcom and Xseed were working together.
Those
So it's
were
just kind of funny how that now ended up back up, and someone who also worked on Xseed is now again working on Trails in the Sky again.
yeah. It's time is a flat circle. Hopefully this time Kondo-san is at to tell you, no, I politely disagree. Please stop.
Yeah, but the interesting thing, well, not just the interesting, but the best thing about this is Gung Ho and Falcom are releasing the games globally and in Japan at the same exact time. So unlike the other Falcom releases where you basically have to wait a few months or even a year, or back in the dark ages of Trails, you had to wait like 3 years because they decided never to give any help or benefits to Xseed or NS America in the beginning of those stages.
Yeah, it was really bad because it's like they were. It felt like okay, so this conspiracy. You can hear my conspiracy theory. I felt like back then they were really, really, really crunching on maximizing as much profit as they can because of the fact of they were smaller. They were a smaller company then. I mean, it's still relatively small. They're in a double A space, so that's the best way to describe it. So I feel like they wanted to maximize all the profit they can, as well as, for all intents and purposes, go like, well, maybe in a very unironic sense, that if we could just delay, we could just find other systems to do it ourselves, we'll be all right. Please, that's not how we do it. We're not going to be all right.
Yeah. One thing to note from the remake, at least what I've been able to see from my playthrough, is the translation is different from Xseed. I actually was thinking it was very similar to how NAS America does their translations, where it's a lot less like personality-wise and a lot more like literal translation, but with a little like quirks here and there, because a lot of the phrases are very similar. Like, "I got your number," or other things that get stated in the game are very similar to what gets stated in like Daybreaks, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting because it kind of just reminds me that there still is the Xseed was the best translator localizer type arguments because of how they handled Sky versus how NAS America tried to do more literal translation for Cold Steel 3 and 4 and made people
Yeah.
super upset that it wasn't the same as Xseed's. Very different personalities that they, well, not really very different, but very more exaggerated personalities
Yeah,
of people who were taking control of the characters.
it felt like at that time it was like they were trying to, if we go as literal as possible, this is a good translation and I'm going to be that guy and have that conversation. It's not about being the most literal. It's about how well can you express it. How well are you
Yeah.
defining the character's key abilities, or their key moments, as well as their key personality type. If I don't have, unironically, Van having a slight sigh or an element of depression, I know it's not Van.
Yeah, so it's interesting because I thought I was going to be a lot more negative towards this type of a translation. But the big difference, and I think this is something that might attune to more people, is there's a lot more voice acting in the game. So, one thing that Trails is also fun known for, if you played like Cold Steel through, say, Daybreak, is you'll have a lot of lines that aren't voiced, and you'll have a random line that is voiced.
Yeah, that's
In
yeah.
the demo, at least, like the first like 8 hours you get to play, there were so many lines that were voiced. Like almost everything that was major was voiced. Like there was hardly any actual just text. Like there's like tutorials and like the orbit systems and stuff were all just like the normal text. But like everything else was like voiced, and it was kind of insane to see that it was voiced, but I think because it was voiced, it didn't make me feel that bad about the translations. Like because the characters, even if like the text that was stated is a little more like bland, the way that they say it or the way that it gets phrased feels better, and it feels like the characters that I remember them being. So I think that does help a lot with this kind of a translation of it being more, because as Gung Ho says, they wanted this translation to be more accurate to the actual translation of the Japanese game than it would be for Xseed's translation. Which I think is fair, but at the same time, I'll still miss Xseed's exaggeration of like Estelle and Joshua, because they get highly exaggerated in the Sky games when you play them, and a lot of the exaggerations are extremely fun. But the way that they're acted in this is still also really fun, and you get to see a lot more of the visual aspects in it, like that first scene where Estelle meets Joshua, and Joshua's just complaining about life, and eventually she just does her double kick to the face. And you're just like, yeah, that's Estelle for you.
The answer is
Go the extra mile to double kick instead of just a normal kick.
Estelle will cure your depression. That's the answer.
Exactly. So there's a lot that you get to see that are like implemented from basically all the arcs of Trails in this remake. You have combat of the action mixed turn-based system of Daybreak. You also have like the chain attacks that you got from Cold Steel and Reverie. And you also have a lot more freedom with the like Quartz system and Orbit system as you did in like the Zero and Azure games. So it's just like they brought like all the best parts of the different arcs into this remake, and I wonder if that's going to be how they do it going forward too.
To be fair, it's I want to say that, and I don't mean this is not an insult. It's like haha. I feel like the way I when I look at the, well, I haven't played it yet, but I looked at the trailers and I saw some people play the game of Sky First. It feels like this game was built on like an upgraded version of the Daybreak engine. It looks very like,
Absolutely.
yeah, and this is not a bad thing. The Daybreak engine is excellent. If you play Daybreak 1 and
Yes,
2,
it is.
it is probably their best achievement today. And I mean this very politely. It's their best achievement
Yeah.
they made. So it's like, I
Yeah.
think, yeah, so it's like the fact they're able to add like elements of the other mechanics to there makes like, yeah, this is kind of peak.
Yeah. So I'm really excited for the actual game to get released, which we still have like a month for. Dang it. But yeah, so the demo right now is out on PlayStation and on PC. It's going to come out on on Nintendo Switch eventually. The demo apparently is not out yet on Switch, but they have confirmed that there will be a Switch 2 version that will be coming out shortly too. And the upgrade path is literally $1 if you have the Switch version, so it's very cheap. Which is very nice. That's kind of like the things you want for upgrades, of just being able to get like use your Switch 2 elements with just $1 rather than having to use the Switch 1 version of a game and have it super compounded on your Switch 2.
That's it.
But yeah,
That's good.
the demo itself is about 6 to 8, maybe even 10 hours, depending on how you play the game. There's some people who have gone even further and have put like 20 hours in this game, just maxing everything out that they can, getting Estelle and Joshua and Charizard just fully like leveled up, getting their orbit slots maxed out, getting all their quartz in correctly. Like they're just going full ham in this game.
People are trying to max out as much mechanics as they can. And to be super fair, though, I believe that like they done for so one of the things that sold me to buy Yeast Nordics is that the demo you play, everything unlocked will transfer to the main game if you buy the main game. So
Yep.
Sky first, you max that out, bingo.
You have unlocked easy mode for the rest of the game when it comes out.
Exactly. Yep. And I'm cool with that as aesthetic. Yeah.
The next topic.
Yeah. The next topic.
Which is something that gets heavily debated whenever a new Trails games come out, and there's been so many wildly varied takes. And so here's just our fun wildly take. That's not going to be that wild.
No, it's a very basic take, and I'm just going to answer this politely. Just play whatever you want to play. You pick any one you want.
So the topic is, where do you start the Trails series?
Where do you start? Just pick any one. Like, if you want my honest opinion, I would say you could start from Sky First, is brand new coming out. You'll be on the train. You could actually start from my personal opinion. If you want to have a more turn-based RPG experience, I would say start from the Lloyd Saga, the Zero Azure series of Reverie, then go Daybreak 1-2 to Horizon.
Yeah,
that's where I stand. If I want a more turn-based experience, if you want to try. If you really want to be like, I want to play the original OG in its purest form, find Sky, Trails of Sky, Chapter 1, the original. You can still find it on Steam, buy it. You can probably buy it on a platform, buy that. If you also want to go, if you think that's too old for you, but you still want to be, I play older games, you can play Cold Steel. For those listening to this podcast, I am not a fan of the Cold Steel series. Cold Steel actually got me to drop the series, and I came back because Lloyd overcame his barriers. So I'm the exception to the rule. I actually did not. I quit after Cold Steel 2, and I was like, I'm done, out. And then I came back, and I came back for Azure Upwards. And by the way, they explained to me Reen's character through those games, so that happens a lot. There's gonna be a lot of recap in Trails of games to get you caught up, so don't feel bad about it at all. You're going to get caught up. Yeah.
Interesting thing about the Cold Steel series is there's technically 2 arcs, which is the Cold Steel 1 and 2 game is 1 arc, and then Cold Steel 3 and 4 is 1 arc. But the problem is Reen basically goes through the same arc twice. Which is one of the big problems people have with Reen when you look at it, but I don't think it's that big of an issue because they go to the extreme setting in Cold Steel 4 with that arc. And then Reverie is actually when they finally nail it in the head of how that arc ends, and I think they did that a lot more justice in Reverie. I'm probably one of the few who's like played through the whole Cold Steel run and thinks 4 is actually one of the weakest entries. I actually like 2 and 3 the best.
One was a little slow pace at the coming from Sky. 2 was
was super slow.
2 was okay, but I had to tap out because I didn't feel anything. I was like, this isn't for me. This character doesn't sell it for me. He's just that guy. There is nothing particularly super special, awesome, amazing about Reen. That's what I know. There's people who swear by Cold Steel. You can enjoy it, everyone their own. But I was like, I think Lloyd and Van are way better characters, and you could fight me on that anytime you want.
Van is probably one of my favorite protagonist. Like, I always thought it was gonna be Estelle till the end of time was gonna be my favorite Trail series, and then Daybreak hit, and I was just like, no, Van is the
Yeah,
best.
Van. That's yeah. You can't really fight. Yeah, you really can't fight that. Van is up there. I agree.
Yeah, I really like Lloyd, but I don't think I would choose him over Estelle in terms of like my favorite protagonist.
He
Because Estelle
over
just has so much charm and personality.
he overcame his barriers. Oh wait, well now to be fair, Estelle did help with the liberation, and I guess she would be better than him now. According to the remake, she was actually there, so we have to like yes, it's true, she was there. She was there.
Yeah, so the point that I always like to talk about when it comes to recommending the games that you should play is what is it that you're looking for in the series? If you're someone who likes, say, the story or the characters, I would start from the beginning of either Sky the First, Zero, or Cold Steel. Like, start from the beginning of an arc so that you can actually experience that arc story. Because even though, yes, there's a lot of bigger, like, world building elements to happen with each arc and each game story, a lot of the arc themselves you can understand through background information of the arcs that you weren't there for. So it's not like imperative or it's necessary to have beaten Sky to understand everything about Zero. It's just like, yes, there are elements that you'll be confused about, but for the most part, you care more about the immediate like story and the immediate characters you're with. A lot of what, like, say, Zero and Azure do with like Estelle and Joshua can be a little Easter eggy with having their arcs actually end with Ren and Zero. So it depends on what you want out of your story. There's a lot of, like, yes, Easter eggs and other characters that show up, but what matters in that arc is important in that arc itself. There's not going to be something that are going to do something super dramatic that matters from the last arc to this arc, other than it being like an explanation of how one character gets to a different location. And there's also another thing of people who care about the gameplay. If you care about the gameplay, either start with the Sky remake or Daybreak. Those are the only options I'd give you.
Exactly, because like I said earlier, like it depends what if you want. I'm an old school turn based boy. Like, all right, Azure, play OG Sky
Yeah,
and Azure, and you play Daybreak One.
yeah,
Like it depends on playstyle, but even then, if you play, one thing I do appreciate about the Falcom games is that if you play a bunch of them, you get to see the improvements, and you're kind of okay with like the changes going forward with the games. Again,
yeah.
like I didn't think this day and age, like you know what, I don't mind my Legend of Hero game having action elements. It doesn't bother me. Nope, doesn't bother me. I'm cool with it.
Like, it was just like almost like awakening when you get to see the change in style and spectacle from getting Cold Steel 2 to Cold Steel 3. And then just how much more of a jump it becomes when you go from Cold Steel 4 to Reverie. Like, Reverie was like the pinnacle of their old school engine. And then Daybreak is when they're like, now we're going to just have fun. And it went bonkers and wild, and it was great.
That's true. That's true. And speaking of things going bonkers, I believe the Claire Expedition 33 guy had an interview talking about automation.
Yeah, so he had an interview with Automation, the website. Um, so Guillaume Broche, which is the main director of Expedition 33, basically got to talk about like his inspirations of turn-based RPGs and how he even said something that was interesting because it's something that Yoshi-P also said during one of his interviews about Final Fantasy 16 and like the change they did for action. Which he was saying that even though there's a lot more support for turn-based RPGs in the current gaming industry, that the prejudice that we have from general audiences for turn-based RPGs are still in the gaming space. It's still not essentially mainstream. It's only mainstream if your name is like Atlas. If you
Yeah,
are someone who uses your UI and your visuals as a way to set the stage for your turn-based RPG.
pretty much.
Otherwise, the turn-based mechanics aren't the thing that sell it for people.
No, no, no. And even then, Yoshi again, people like, oh my god, he's so smart. Like Yoshi my goat, but it's like he's also correct because at the time, even if you go back to the debacle about pre, I would say pre 2000s. Let's talk about the X Play era of video games. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
A lot of the game media went really, 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 really hard, and no one deny it, to just flat out insult Japanese games. They went out of their way to insult JRPG. They went out of their way to insult RPGs, JRPGs particular. Like, for example,
Yeah.
X Play, I recall one point, they gave Mega Man Battle Network 3, I believe, a 2 out of 5. I could be wrong on that, but they gave it a low average score. Anyone who played Mega Man Battle Network can attest that 3 was probably one of the best games they ever made. But, they weren't about that life. What's also interesting is that, like, the JRPG moniker, I believe several Final Fantasy devs and Yoshi-P, I believe Kisei-san as well, so it's like they didn't like it because they consider themselves RPGs. If you played old school Dragon Quest, you played, let's say, Dragon Quest 1 through 3, you played, let's say, you played the Final Fantasy 1 through 6, you clearly know that these games are based on like D&D elements from Western tabletop games. But as time gone on, people just started saying the JRPG element of it, which to some Japanese people felt derogatory because, like, what do you mean J? And I think it's mostly because of, like, I would say art aesthetic reasons, as well as the success of Final Fantasy VII.
Yep.
Even though, in my opinion, Final Fantasy VII is sci-fi fantasy. That existed before then. It's this game I talked about earlier called Phantasy Star 4. It exists. So it felt like the bias is there, and also too, a lot of people within the RPG space or the internet use RPGs as a hammer to dump on ARPGs or other games. They don't. It's like, are you really a fan of the genre, or this is just a beating stick for you to say this game is bad because it's not Final Fantasy 7, 8, 6, etc. And a part of me feels like the prejudice is, there are two sides to that prejudice, Scott. One of them is that the negative reception that turn RPGs have received as time went on, to a point that, I can't, like, let's be honest, I don't think I could convince a normal person to openly play something like Wizardry or play Etrian Odyssey.
No.
I can't, yeah. But
it's a hard ask.
It's a hard ask. Yeah, exactly. And it's commit. I think, like, the thing about turn-based RPGs, RPG in general, it's just commitment. It's a lot of commitment. And I think that's usually the prejudice there is real. And turn-based RPGs got more mainstream as time went on because they look prettier graphic-wise, and other genres took off at the time. Like, you guys may not know about this about me personally, or you have. I play point-click adventure games. I love them. I grew up playing them. They're one of my favorite type of games. But as the mid-90s kind of rolled on by, point-click games just kind of fell off. The market got smaller. Other game styles got more imperative and bigger, and people started playing them more. Those became the dominant factoid of gaming, which is good. That's fine. But this fell off. Now, the difference between point-click games falling off because less people making it, as well as the industry itself was sustainable, RPG suffered personal prejudice, even though games were good. I remember, I think I showed you, I think it was a PlayStation magazine or Gamers magazine, that insulted, saying that Dragon Quest V is a bad game and Xenogears is better, not knowing.
Ooh.
Remember? Yeah, you remember that one there. Not knowing they're both made by the same people. What are you talking about? They're like these are both turn-based RPGs, but like I said earlier, people would use turn-based RPGs as a stick to hit other games. And Dragon Quest V is a good game. So it's like, what are we getting at here?
Fantastic game.
Yeah. So
anyone who says it's not a fantastic game deserves to rot in fire.
Exactly, like Heavenly Bride. So it's like I'm sitting there going like, it is amazing how, like, the perception of turn-based RPGs and how JRPG got formed and affect people in the space. Like, right now, we're in the golden age of RPGs because every RPG is making a comeback in some way. Every RPG is super accessible. There is indie RPGs. We have SRPG, turn-based RPGs. You have social RPGs, I call them, which is more based on social interaction skill. Less puzzle-solving RPGs. You have turn-based RPGs. You have strategy RPGs. We have by almost every metric, every series, every remake, every police officer is riding their horns. You can find something for you. If you're a psycho like me, Tactics Ogre, baby, you can find SRPGs for you. There's Dark Deity 2. There's Tactics Ogre. There's Final Fantasy Tactics coming out. I wouldn't be surprised we get a Dragon Quest Tactics, the Tactics Monster game coming out. If you're a monster collector, a gamer, there is Beastie Ball. There is Cassette Beast. There's still the Pokemon games that are coming out. You're set. You got your games, right? There's Digimon. Well, not the newer Digimon. New Digimon feels different, but there's Digimon. They just reported the classic Monster Rancher games. If you are an ARPG junkie, we're getting Tales of Zillia. There is the Yeast series that still keep pumping out like nobody's business. There's Final Fantasy 16, which is pretty decent. There are tons and tons of it. So, we're in an age where we're full. They're being ported, they're available to be found, and you can play them. But I want to say maybe 10, 20 years ago-ish, you got what you got, and it was good, but the stigma was just too harsh. The stigma doesn't matter anymore, I feel like it. That's the thing. This is too much.
Yeah. I think, the stigma mattered a lot more back then, too, because it also dictated what games publishers were okay with basically bringing over here. So if you're someone who was in, say, the PS2 or PS3 era, there's a lot of Japanese games that we did not get over here. And that was partially, I think, because of the stigma, but also is because it's too expensive to bring over here in that kind of space when we didn't realize that it wasn't going to get a lot of people buying it.
Exactly.
We still have problems nowadays where it's if it's not Final Fantasy, it doesn't sell. Which is the problem with Square Enix right now, is they put out a lot of different types of games, of JRPGs, just action RPGs, just everything, and the only thing that ever sells for them is Final Fantasy games. And then people wonder why they focus on Final Fantasy.
And the thing is that, I'll call you out. Did you play Noble Eto's game Neo Dementia? Did you play DQ3? I'm not even saying Triangle Strategy. Did you play Octopath Traveler 1 and 2? I don't think you're playing these games. You just just say, I just like Final Fantasy games. Fine!
Yeah.
But don't come at me...
You're allowed, but don't use that as your beat stick.
Exactly, yeah. And the thing is that, I think a while back, I think we talked about this in the previous podcast, or if we haven't, we'll remind you again. Final Fantasy has always been different every game they come out. And it's usually the head producer or executive producer creator that says, yeah, this is the type of game we're making, that's it. So I don't know if Final Fantasy 17 will be a turn-based game. It could be a tactics game. Hell, Final Fantasy 17 can be, I kid you, an RTS game. I'm not even joking, that's a possibility.
Final Fantasy 17, the Diofield Chronicles.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So it's and Square has made some remakes of classic games such as Star Ocean, Dragon Quest series, the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters. Again, I feel like the huge problem is that I don't think. Oh, and I think Square has been pushing heavily this last 3 years the Romantic Saga. They really want people to play the Romantic Saga.
Yep.
Are you playing that? Seriously, yeah. So I feel like I don't like when they say you don't you just want the game you want, and I get that. But at the same time, we are in a golden age of RPGs where you could try something out and try it. Hell, you know what? Try Grandia 1 and 2. Those are really classics. I recommend them. I highly do. I'm not even joking. I recommend it. As we joke, I mean, it's
the Lunar series that got remade too, or remastered.
Yeah, God, Luna's classically good. Try Visions of Mana or the Mana RPGs. You know what? Try Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. That's a pretty short and quick adventure. Play the Mega Man Battle Network series. It's a deck builder and a Mega Man game. Play a Mercenary Blaze game. I'm not even joking. And we mean this serious on the podcast. Please play Legend of Heroes. Please play Legend of Heroes. We're not joking. Go right. Get your credit card. Get your credit card right now and buy a Legend of Hero game. Okay, so. But yeah, you're not experiencing because you're just being either lazy or felt-fed to play RPGs. Play whatever. There are too many of them. They're really good. You can buy it on sale so you don't want to hurt your money, but there are tons of them. And I don't just mean just play Deltarune. Everyone knows where I was playing Deltarune. Play the other RPGs. Play Everhood. Play Everhood 2. Play those games. Like, play more RPGs because like we're in a very good state for RPGs, and I think we could all play and appreciate it. Like the GOAT Yoshi-P says, if you're bored of Final Fantasy 14, play another game. He's that confident you'll come back and play something else. Go play another game. Just go play another game. It doesn't hurt anybody. Absolutely easiest thing you could do.
There's a lot of games out there.
There's a lot of them. Too many to be precise. I'm not even joking. But yeah. But yeah, both.
I want them all.
I want them all. But yeah, but Broach and Yoshi-P are correct about the astigmatism, and they both said it. Regardless of like Yoshi-P said it first, he's right. I understand, but because the Claire 33 game is considered God's gift to gaming for people who never played RPGs before, and it solved their life, it got their marriage, got their house, it got them the girl. I understand. They're gonna take Mr. Broach's terms a lot easier. I understand that. Easy. I'm not even gonna. That's facts, right? No. But Yoshi-P said it first, jokingly.
Yoshi-P said it first. I mean,
yeah.
We probably have all said someone else say it before him too.
Yeah, it was probably.
It's interesting just how like prevalent how known this stigmatism was known in Japan.
Yeah,
because they saw the numbers, they saw that kind of metrics. They know that it's like a lot of the reasons why, especially like the PS2, PS3 era, a lot of the games that Japan was doing was basically focusing on the Japanese market was because they knew it wasn't going to sell anywhere else.
No. And the worst part about it is that people over here, with spare hands, were chomping at the bit to get just one game. Like, we got it. But that's the truth.
That was the dark period, and even if you did get games, very seldom would they even be like either translated correctly or they'd just have a lot of fan crap on it.
God, yeah. And the thing is, like, to be super fair, it's like that's the truth. It's better now, etc. But it's like that stigmatism really does help, and I like it. I think that, and I hope that people who enjoy the X-Factor 33's game play other RPGs as well, and don't use Claire 33 as a beating stick to say other RPGs bad. This is great. You're not helping anybody. Okay, you're actually being. This term you might not hear it. You're being a jerk.
Ironically, you're probably also making less people want to play Expedition 33.
Yeah.
If that's what they think your opinion is, they probably don't want to play the game to give it more credence. That was one of the hardest things. Is like when you try to get someone into, like, say, a community, and then you have to realize, oh no, the people in this community are garbage.
Oh my god!
Some very toxic people in this, especially in like the Trails fandom.
Oh my god! Cough! Yeah, cough! I was harassed by a Trails fan because I played Daybreak 1 on my Steam Deck. He's like, Translation is bad. I'm like, I'm playing STFU. But thank God I met Estelle at PAX East. And she was lovely. Yes. And she's like, I can't wait to play Sky Remake. I'm like, live your dream, queen. And that's the person I want to be in my community. I'm not joking. I don't even care if you know nothing, but you're excited to play. That's all I want. Give me your opinion afterwards. Yeah. And then play Azure, because, Lloyd is the greatest hero of all time. He overcame those barriers. Barriers overcame.
All the barriers.
All the barriers. Speaking of barriers to overcome, in recent Square Enix news, we're talking, Ryotaro Ichimuro, a Dragon Quest producer, left Square Enix. And he did not leave quietly.
No, he did not.
He said some spicy things. And, yeah. Like, it is...
So one thing to note with Ryotaro Ichimuro, for those who don't know, he's been someone who's been over a lot of the Dragon Quest games since Dragon Quest 8, I think it was.
Yeah. And
a lot of his comments are based around the Dragon Quest series. That's one thing I feel like a lot of people are understanding about.
Right.
The comments he has.
Yeah, a lot of people saw the news and it was reported through other outlets, and we just want to make sure you guys were clickbaity because you just say, again, the F Square Enix movement. Look, I'm going to talk about what I hate about Square Enix soon. Like, don't worry about it. I'm there. You guys going to hear about that. But I'm going to be honest with you. It was just Dragon Quest. He said Dragon Quest was repetitive, they're conservative, they don't want to do innovations. I'm like, all right. Ichimura, I respect you as a person. I think you have good ideas, and everyone does. But do you know Dragon Quest is like the most conservative, consistent RPG of all time? Even 11, which 11 has, in my opinion, the template of what a high quality turn-based RPG should be. That game has such good production value. I am like, you know what? Caught absolute cinema in production value. But it's like they're conservative. All right, so every game that isn't featured in the main Dragon Quest game becomes a spin-off game. Monsters, builders, heroes. They're not going to put some of your ideas in the main game at all times because they want a tight ship in their game. Second of all, I think if you found out that he wanted to put ideas he copied from to put into Dragon Quest, here's the blow up. Scott, where is he working now?
Right now, he's working at a company called NetEase.
NetEase, a company that has made one of my favorite hero shooters of all time, while we're rivals. NetEase is known to be a copycat company.
Oh, they're precisely a copycat company. If you look a lot of their games, they're basically copycats, but the thing is, they're copycats, and they put, like, console game level games onto, like, it's kind of like Netmarble, where they put those into, like, phones or on, like, computer-only type things.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll see them all over the place on, like, that kind of consistency, where they make a lot of mobile games as well as, like, PC games.
Exactly. So you're complaining about them being, your ideas, you want to copy the other games, you work for a company that is essentially known for copycatting. I mean, they make good games, we're not going to deny it, but come on, we know it's to stop. So that's one. So, but yeah, a lot of articles were saying that, oh, he hates Square Enix. So he's talking about Dragon Quest. And as a fan of the Dragon Quest series, one of Dragon Quest's charm is that Dragon Quest, let's be honest, outside of Dragon Quest 3 and Dragon Quest 9, Dragon Quest 1, 2, 4 through 8, 10 is an MMO, which is spicy. I can't wait for the offline mode to come out, for I can get the offline mode. And 11 have so much similarity to each other, they kind of maintain their fan base. Like, that's the thing. If you wanted to make
Dragon Quest has like the exact opposite problem of Final Fantasy, where they're not different.
Yeah, exactly, put that way. And the thing is that to me, it's like you could have just unironically asked for a transfer to work at a Final Fantasy team or something, because those guys want ideas all the time. I mean, people to this day, I remember back in the day, people were saying Final Fantasy X is crap, and I'm like, fair take. Now, Final Fantasy X is actually pretty good. Final Fantasy X is pretty mid. But it's a decent journey. That's it. It's a decent journey, but it's kind of mid. If you can't, by the way, this is me coming from 9, okay? 9 is absolute cinema.
9 is great.
You coming from absolute cinema, and then you play 10, you're like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna be alright! But yeah. But that's kind of the whole situation. I wish him best in his future. I think that, personally, in my opinion, though a lot of some outlets or aggregate websites or people who post news may have taken it out of context by applying it to all Square Enix, he was particularly just talking about Dragon Quest. And I can understand his frustrations with Dragon Quest, because if he was from Dragon Quest 8 to Dragon Quest 10, the changes that happened were 9 is essentially a buffed up version of 3, and 10 is a kind of a solo MMO kind of experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. And 8 is, well, it's a Dragon Quest game.
I mean, a lot of people have 8 as their the prime opus of Dragon Quest's engine of the turn-based combat. I think 11's a little better though.
I think I lean personally because of party customization. 359 is for me for peak. Modern, if I got to go for if I go for modern Dragon Quest games, it's only 11, because we never had other modern Dragon Quest games. That's the thing.
Yeah.
PS2 is retro now, guys. So
that feels weird.
Yeah. So PS2 and PS3 is retro now. So So yeah, modern Dragon Quest games, I have to say, it's just 11. Just 11. Mm-hmm. So, the old, that's just crazy. But yeah, I can understand his frustration. So I wish him the best in the future. I hope he doesn't get scathingly remarked for what he's done and said, because I think people in the industry could take that out of context, because you can see why it's frustrating. I worked on 8, 9, and 10. There is not much from a Dragon Quest player or even design standpoint. There isn't really much to it. Though 9 is good. Playing it, trust me. These are good games. 8, 9, I didn't play 10, but 8 and 9 are good.
Yeah, 9 is a little underrated in my opinion, but that's because it's one of the ones that are harder to get because it's just on a DS, I believe.
Yes, it was, yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, and by the way, it goes back to what we talked about. Chomping at the bit to get games because he only cared about Japan. Because, you know, over here, hello! You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the point. And speaking of chomping at the bit, so, you know I play a lot of Final Fantasy 14, right, Scott?
Never. I would never think you would play Final Fantasy 14.
No, you know what? I didn't waste time grinding for to look beautiful and wearing glam gear. You know, I wasted an entire night to glam for sunglasses I could raise on my character's head so I could have it on top of my head instead of wearing it normally. Did you know that?
Oh, jeez.
That's right. This game isn't about the best gear. It's about glam. That's what's called Glam Fantasy 14. But speaking of Final Fantasy 14, they have recently banned the Mare mod. Are you aware of the Mare mod?
Honestly, not. I don't check much with the modding community in 14. Honestly.
So the Mare mod was mostly used by, we can make jokes about them and call them the gooners and the horny people by giving the characters big booty, big thighs, big booba, etc. You could joke about that.
People.
Yeah, you could joke about that. But it was used for people who like to take screenshots of the characters and post it on social media like Twitter or Tumblr or Instagram, Facebook, etc. The Mare mod was actually primarily used by, outside joke of the Gooner community, was also used by people who are RP. Final Fantasy XIV has, in my opinion, one of the best community subsets there is. You have people who are story heads, who only play once to beat the story mode, they're out of there. You have people who play the game for PvP. Hi, I'm in that circle now. You have people who play for raids. I'm not into raiding that much. It's fun here and there. There are people who play for glam. Hi, I'm in that circle. There are people who play for RP. And Final Fantasy XIV acknowledged the RP community. You can actually get a tag, an emblem that says you're RP. And it's servers that people have gone to do roleplay. That's RP, roleplay. So people who roleplay or whatever would use some of them use the Mare mod, which allows to change the character assets. It's mostly all cosmetic. And though I am okay with this, and this is what I said earlier, I'm going to talk about Final Fantasy, maybe Square Enix. Yeah, Square Enix decided to straight up, nah, goodbye, get out of here. They banned the mod, and they sent a letter to the guy who made the mod, and it's not good. So basically, the mod is not existing. You use it, it's what it is. Square Enix, since day one, from Final Fantasy XIV, have a zero tolerance policy on mods. All type of mods. Cosmetic mods, mapping mods. Hell, people thought that if I used a camera mod that you zoom out to see the entire boss fight, that's cheating. Now that type of mod is common in World of Warcraft. Hell, World of Warcraft is World of Modding in my opinion, because there are so many third-party plugins to play that game to be efficient. It's just accepted normally. 14, absolutely not. They don't play that. Believe it or not, there was I believe it was the Mega Protocol. It was a high-end dungeon raid that a group of people cleared it first. People still like clearing first in video games, that's for sure. We love that. We love doing first clears. Someone noticed that when they took a screenshot clearing it, there was a red dot on the screen. That red dot is actually not part of the map. That red dot was a mod. That mod allowed them to track the boss and know positionals. It was also affected how they can look at the fight and everything, which is cheating to some people. Final Fantasy terminated all those guys' accounts and banned them. That's how severe modding we are. A little dot that you didn't care, that's cheating. Using a mod to determine how much damage someone is doing in a party, cheating. That's how hardcore Square Enix zero tolerance mod policy. There has been tons and tons and tons of stories about how they ban mods people using in-game that may or may not have effects to it. Now, the aftermath of the Mare mod being banned, people have been dropping tons and tons and tons and tons of negative reviews on the Final Fantasy XIV page on Steam. Obviously, Steam has a filter now to remove a certain amount of these negative reviews because that doesn't work as it's not as effective as it used to be anymore.
Yeah.
So that's about it. Now, my personal opinion about cosmetic mods is I don't mind them. I don't bother them. I don't even have I may have friends who use them, but I wouldn't know. The Mare mod lets you use if you linked up your friends, you all can see each other's mods, so you can all be the big booty bunny girl. That's your dream. Or if you are
Some people, that is their big dream.
yeah, or if you're some people, you can be essentially the Korean guy from K-pop Demon Hunter whose abs explode wearing t-shirts. You could be that guy. Or if you're going to be a culture man like me, have 20-pack abs as a femme Rogadin, letting people know you are sexy, you got that energy, you know? That's the dream. Modding also had cosmetics so you're able to change how your character look, where you wear, things like that. I never used it. I don't know people who do it. But the problem I have with these mods cosmetic is that I don't think these mods hurt anybody. They don't do anything to the game. It only affects the person using it. I haven't seen any reports or videos of people using cosmetic mods that change how they look or change attack properties or even add sound effects. I believe somebody actually made a mod where if you use Monk and you activate Fire's Reply, you actually get Domonkashu's burning finger speech. Personally, that's really cool. Copyright infringement pending, but you get in trouble for that. Now, that's my thing. I think, should Square go individually, which mod is unacceptable? Here's the thing. They're not going to do that. I don't think they want to. It is just easier to have the zero tolerance policy mod, and that sucks. My only hope is that Square Enix sees people who use these mods and allow these cosmetics to be in-game to program for future updates. But either way, if you're using a mod, don't advertise yourself, watch yourself, don't get caught, and don't post it on Twitter.com!
Don't post on anything that's a socialmedia.com.
Honestly. Yeah, like literally hide it, man. The same way that people back in the day were pirating seeds and hide about how they got certain video games, wink wink, you didn't put that stuff on the internet. You had to know a guy who know a guy.
Yeah, you had to be in the sauce when it came to finding the pirated copies back in the day.
So basically, that's what I think we should be. I'm mad at Square for doing this because I'm very well aware of the difference between what I think mods that are cheating, such as camera mods and the dot, or mods that give you information on bossing, or mods that, for all intents and purposes, tell you the boss attacks. Like, there are some mods in World of Warcraft that essentially, at some point, do the fight for you. I don't want that in 14. I think that's bad.
No.
I don't like that. I can understand reasoning why, because the boss designs and damage breakpoints and all that jazz. I personally don't like that. I don't think that. I think you should play a video game. I don't want those mods in 14. But I can understand a need for using a mod to change it cosmetically. I can understand of using a mod to remove or change the coloring of enemy attacks if you're colorblind. Those are fine. Those are just cosmetics. Yeah. But I wish 14 was more lenient on things like that, and it bothers me. And by the way, here's something crazy. Because of the modding, how Square had a zero tolerance on mod, people actually bought widescreen monitors to do world first runs on several raids and raids in order to beat it first and fast, because they think the extra screen space will allow them to see better. Because they couldn't use camera mods. Because again, they'll get banned. Yeah. That is, again, 14 modding community. I've always found them a bit tame. Again, giant bunny girl with big booba, it will sell. Cat girl with big booty sells. I get it. But if Square catches you, your booty in your account's gone. So that's it. I don't think a review bombing them is going to change anything. I think the best way to do it is to unironically, and I mean this politely, not go to the forums, and I mean this politely, Yoshi-P does come out to American conventions. He comes out to PAX East, PAX West. He comes out to several gaming conventions. If he's at a convention and you have a chance to speak to him on the floor or at his panels, I recommend having a calm, collective manner and talk to him, an honest conversation about mods. Maybe you could change his mind. Maybe you can help him allow ideas you want in the game. Because let's be honest, people who use mods do like Final Fantasy 14. They care about the game. They want things that are in the game can't give them. And sometimes it is just gooning, and sometimes it just enhances roleplay. I think mods that help colorblind people play better is great. I think mods that help line of sight for some things is good. Those are things that I don't consider that broken, but people in certain situations can be. But I feel like we need to have better dialogue to approach this and get better at it. Because crashing out is not going to help the game get better. It's going to make them lash at us worse. That's all I can say. I don't think it's a good way to do it. And I hate Square Enix for having this zero tolerance policy. And I don't like the fact that, in my honest opinion, I don't think the Mare mod was that bad per se. I think it's just cosmetic at best. Again, I will not know if I'm running around 14 if somebody is playing their big titty bunny girl or their big booty cat girl in a dungeon. I will never see it. Most of these cosmetic mods
are actually good at their character.
Yeah, all I need to know is that do you know how to heal and you know how to DPS and tank. That's all I care about. If you can play the game, that's it. But yeah, that's me on the Mare mod situation. I do mean it seriously though. If you're going to attend any convention where Yoshi-P is at or the Final Fantasy 14 team, if you can approach them respectfully, at the panel, ask some questions about it, maybe open a dialogue, because I think you could change. Again, the RPG community, we changed a lot of people's minds about it. I mean, no one's gonna buy Legends of Hero games in the U.S. We changed their mind, didn't we? We changed their minds. You know, you can change people's minds. I think that it's open dialogue that way, and I don't think that review bombing is going to change anything and output toxicity because it's going to make them dig their heat deeper. I think the zero tolerance policy on mods is problematic in ways because there are several things the game doesn't offer that people can do or they can be doing. The sad part is that they could just pay the person for the mod, implement themselves, and just tweak it themselves. If these guys know how to do it.
Do the way that Larian Studios did it with Baldur's Gate 3, where they just made their own mod manager and put the mods that they allowed on it.
Basically, yeah. That's another brilliant idea. Here we go. Hey, if you meet Yoshi-P at any upcoming conventions or anywhere else, take Scott's idea. Have a mod manager. That's actually brilliant. That will solve half different problems.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah. And speaking of problems we're going to solve for you, we're going to recommend some RPGs for you for the month or for this month. So let's get to it. All right. So the first game Scott and I are going to recommend to you that we talk heavily about is Trails into the Sky first. This game is, look, if you haven't played the original, don't worry about it. This game is peak, okay? Estelle is the strongest woman warrior alive. She overcame her barriers. She defeated the crossbell invasion. She actually taught Van Arkai how to fight. You know, I can't name more. You know, she ended the war in Cold Steel by herself.
Both of them, no.
Both of them, single-handedly, no cap.
Yeah, it's honestly one of, if not the game that I'm looking forward to the most this year.
Yeah.
And it's been one I've been looking forward to since it got revealed.
Yeah, it's insane. They did such a good job with this game, from the ARPG elements that Scott talked about earlier. They did a good job. I mean, the voice act, they put some really good voice acting. We got Stephanie Shea. We got, I believe Mr. Chiplock is here, correct?
Yeah, well, I actually don't know if Sean Chiplock's in this one. He's gonna be in Trails Beyond the Horizon, though.
All right, so Mr. Chiplock, Sean, you need to call your boys at Falcom and put yourself in this game. Make that phone call today.
Just have
while you're listening.
Randomly.
Yeah. You can make Irene like 5-year-old. Wow, Estelle, you're my hero. I'm 5-year-old Irene. Just say that line, like, oh my god, she said it. Like, just be in there. But no, Trails of the Sky is again, this is a remaster. This is the beginning of the universe. The thing about what makes Trails series unique is that it is an RPG series that is more about world building and the people there. The people there are instruments of the world that exists. Because if you played Sky and then you play Cold Steel, you played Azure, you played Daybreak, you get to see how the world evolved and the people changed too. What's important to them then versus now. Like from people becoming bracers to a society of the Ouroboros Society to white people fighting for liberations, the use of not legally distinct materia, okay? The orbits, why that became more powerful. Look, it's legally distinct materia, okay? I don't want to get sued, all right? Please. But jokingly, the orbit system. You talk about how the orbits end up being used in sci-fi. Again, this is a game that started as a fantasy RPG, became more sci-fi fantasy RPG as time went on, and the world makes more sense as they kept adding more to the series. Even as crazy as Horizon is, because spoiler the Horizon, you go to the moon, not for crypto, not for crypto, not for crypto. You go to the moon, and it makes perfect sense, right, Scott?
Yeah, it does, honestly. It's wild how crazy this series escalates in its world. But at the same time, it makes perfect sense with it basically trying to almost like replicate how like the Industrial Revolution revolutionized technology.
Right, and there were like there's people against it. There's some people who believe. There are people like I believe. Oh God, I want to. You can probably confirm this. Freya's people in Trails of Daybreak is a descendant of the people that Krosnor's from, and they have the same belief system that they believe that like combat and mercy is a way of life. So they think of their weapons and ornaments as like to their god. Oh God, it's that. I'm not even joking. It is that deep. It is literally that deep that this person's belief system has instilled a bunch of other people who believe that to survive in the plains and the outlands, our weapons are instruments of God to deliver war on people. This is not a joke. That's how cool this is.
Yeah, it's pretty sick.
It's pretty sick. I'm not even joking. Yeah, you put it together. I'm not even joking. So it's like you get to see the world, people, even religious factions. Hell, you have people again in Sky. We have people living in towns and mayorships, maybe a lord. And in Daybreak, we have presidents now. We have presidents. And in Azure, we had dictators. But don't worry, we overcame that barrier.
We overcame that barrier for another dictator to show
for another dictatorship. Oh God! Oh my God! Like you see, Lloyd, like it's my time. Like whoa! I thought democracy. Nah, baby.
Now.
It's Crossville now, baby.
This is now a police state, and the police is me.
Me. I'm the police. It's me, Lloyd. Oh God. Oh God, I'm just picturing him saying that. It's me, Lloydo, the police. Like thumbs up, like no, please no. But no, you get to see like again, the biggest adventure in Sky was people finding out there's the edge of the continent. The biggest surprise now, like by Daybreak with Horizon, is that these other people from other continents have other problems and willing to war with us for resources. Again, as Scott pointed out, the world is evolving, and you get to see that. I think it's just a cool thing to get into the Legend of Heroes series. The Legend of Heroes series. Yep. It's so good. It's so good.
It is absolutely just peak.
It's storytelling. Like that. This is an RPG that focuses high elements world building, and you get to see that progress in a logical manner where it doesn't fall off. That's the thing. Some of these people will fall off and have to make an element wrong and have to make a MacGuffin to fix it. We did not get MacGuffin yet. Hell, look, Van essentially gets JoJo Bizarre powers, transform into a stand, and it's like, yeah, that's actually not a MacGuffin. I'm like, it's not a MacGuffin. Okay. I'm like, all right, we know how to write here. Let's go. Like I said, like, joke aside though, you could correct me. The Krosnor's mercenary group of people, some of them actually took his beliefs and made it to like their tribe or how they act. That's where Freya's descent people come from, something like that. I'm gonna confirm that I'm not crazy with that one.
I can't remember if that's the full story.
Yeah, That's part of it. That's
A
part of it.
simplified version of it because there's so much.
No, no. And by the way, I'm simplifying and bastardizing, but that's how good it is. It is so good that he's. And again, I think what I like about before we skip to our next game, Trails of Sky, is that each character, from side character, NPC side character, actually plays a significant impact on the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's crazy how like Zen, who is a jerk. I'm sorry. He's a hero who believes in saving jerk. Actually plays a significant role in this game as well as he plays a role in Daybreak.
Yep.
Yep. And speaking of games that have significant changes, man, I can't wait to talk about this game particularly. Starlight Revolver. I have played this game every opportunity I had. I played the open closed beta. I played the open beta, the Steam Next Fest. I played a little bit at PAX. I'm sorry, I didn't play at PAX. I played a little bit at Anime NYC this weekend. This game is good. The only thing this game may have issues netcode. Essentially, this is a roguelike lobby style RPG where you play up to 4 characters and maybe more that have different play styles, and you need to pick random abilities to coordinate with your teammate to beat monsters and get more stuff and more stuff. The game has a couple of old school social lobby effects like fishing and dressing up and hanging out. This adds so many cool ideas from like games if you like Phantasy Star Online 2 to what you like about Hades. It's such a great game. I'm talking profusely about it because I'm looking forward to it. Scott played it with me as well, and I'm assuming Scott had a good time, and if he didn't, this friendship is over, and I'm replacing him.
Grand time.
Okay, thank God, because I would have replaced you with everyone's favorite Caucasian actor. You know who that is, right?
Yeah, I totally know who that is.
It's Ryan Gosling. Everyone loves Ryan Gosling. That or Matthew McConaughey. But Matthew McConaughey might be too expensive because he'll just keep talking about how much he loves his Cadillac and his Lincoln.
But are you Ken enough?
Are you Ken enough? Are you Ken enough? I feel like Ryan was saying, "Are you Ken enough to play this game?" And I'll just cry. He's like, "All right, this podcast is over." No, but
I did like my time in Starlight Revolver. As much as I wanted to have more time in the game, I do like the lobby system, and I do appreciate that the influences are from, ironically, games that are no longer live today, or if they are, they're in a much significant way, like Club Penguin or like Ragnarok Online. Like those games that have some unique communities that come together through their lobby systems and just making the world its lobby. But this one I hope has just as big as a community that shows up, because
yeah,
for these types of games you need to have a community for it to have community.
no, exactly. Like the thing about to me again from right. And by the way, Ragnarok and some of those other those lobby MMOs, some of them are available through private servers. We're not going to say that because we don't want them to get doxxed and lose, but that's how you play them. Yeah, and it also, like I said, reminds me of Phantasy Star 2, which you can still play. That one you can still kind of play, but you can't play Phantasy Star the OG anymore, or Universe, unless you go through the 7 Seas.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, pretty much.
but it definitely reminds me of the lobby MMO system. I'm so excited about it. The only thing the game, my opinion, is of playing it, from the closed beta to early access to closed beta to the Steam Fest demo, I think the issue is just that it's netcode. The netcode has to be stronger. That's it. Making stronger netcode is always a thing for these games because you're going to have hundreds of people playing from God knows what ping. Not everyone's going to be plugged in to their internet. I learned that the hard way.
No.
Yeah. But that's about it. Check out Starlight Revolver. It's going to be early access soon. Wishlist it. Same thing, Trails of the Sky. Wishlist it. Get on that when you can. And this game, I think Scott brought to my attention. I was unaware of it. So, Scott, let us know about this game.
Alrighty. So, this game is a game called Off. If you're someone who's been in the RPG space, you probably have heard about this because it is like an almost 20-year-old game now. But it's been a game that's been locked behind a lot older hardware. You could also find translations and stuff for free if you are a part of the 7 Seas, so to speak. But essentially, it's finally now coming to Nintendo Switch and PC officially, and it's just one of those games that influenced a lot of other games But essentially, you are playing as this guy named as like the Batter, and you're trying to get rid of all of these like impurities in this world. And it goes through a big in-depth just like realization of just like what is your ideal, your desire, what is a true utopia like begin with, like what do you need to erase for it to become a true utopia. And it's a very interesting premise, and it's one that has like basically detailed a lot of other ways that people have made games. It is significant in how people have detailed also like graphics and indie sorts. So it's kind of like another like springboard from like Earthbound basically to like other games in this similar genre.
So it's one of those jokingly, it's one of like the founding fathers of the quote unquote weird RPG or the Earthbound clone. I don't really call them Earthbound clones because Earthbound Earthbound is an RPG. Like I don't okay. Nothing makes Earthbound distinct enough to clone it because there's a lot of things in Earthbound that makes it good. Cloning Earthbound is like trying to say like making a Final Fantasy clone is a little more easier to see because the formatting of how the battle turns things like that. Deltarune, um, Deltarune. Oh god, I forgot his first game.
Undertale.
Undertale. There we go. Sorry. Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, Undertale, Deltarune, Odd. I consider these like inspirations of like or even Omori inspirations of the emotional, quirky RPGs. Super Mario RPG is a quirky RPG. Like that's well, not Super RPG. The Mario Luigi series, Superstar Saga, and onwards are quirky RPGs. But I wouldn't consider them all clones of each other. I would probably just label them as the quirky RPG or the non RPG because they are RPGs, but they're very very different in what they're trying to do. They're not following the standard RPG conventions. And by the way, I think that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Yeah. So that's finally coming out on Steam and Nintendo Switch. So if you're someone who wants to know why it's as influential as it is, this is a great time to get in.
That is good to hear, my friend. That is good to hear. So the next game we're going to talk about is, I guess, a game that, to politely put it nicely, it's not Harvest Moon, but it's close enough so no one will get again legally sued again. Like again, legally distinct materia in the Trails of series is perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine, legally distinct. No one gets in trouble.
So this is the Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar. So this is ironically, initially it was Harvest Moon Grand Bazaar back when it was on the DS.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got the joke.
Of that game, but turned up to 11 with more things you can do, as well as more shops you can open and more NPCs that can be available in the game. So this was what was known, at least like in the Harvest Moon community, back as like one of the definitive Harvest Moons to like get people into the series, because it wasn't nearly as giant of a scope in terms of its farming and its building utilities. So this has a bit of a smaller scope in the sense that you only have like a small patch or two patches of farmland to really work with. But the point is no longer to really host or make your town be as big as it can be. It is making what's known as a grand bazaar. So you're trying to make basically a giant shop that you sell things at once a week. And the point of it is to get your Grand Bazaar to be, well, the Grand Bazaar. Hence the title.
Yeah.
And so this is the remake, and it's on Nintendo Switch 2, and I believe Nintendo Switch 1 and PC. I've been playing on Nintendo Switch 2 if you look at the website, but
Yeah.
So this is a game that I think has a lot of. Basically, this is what they want to do with the future games of Harvest Moon, of making it bigger and broader, but still keeping the theme and the atmosphere around. So even though this is like the original game was still like a very small scope, this game is a higher scope, but it's still not nearly like the level of like you have to travel all over the world and do that. And how some of like the more recent Harvest Moon iterations have become, or like farming games in general have overcome. You just have your farm, you have the Grand Bazaar, and you have who you want to date and marry.
Yeah. I personally think it's interesting in that regard of like what they want to do with like because to me this sounds like the other side of farm simulators or slice of life games. This is a store I would say a merchant or economy simulator. Potionomics come
Yeah.
into mind. Recontier comes into mind. Elements of Moonlighter 1 comes into mind about this. And these type of games are just as fun as well because you focus on a different style of grinding. Instead of learning how to manage your, growing fruits and vegetables and seasons, you're managing economic pressures, how to make discounts, how to get items, how to sell items, and all that stuff. This looks really. I noticed that they're like compared to the original. I would say where it came from, quotation mark. The art style for the story of Season series have been kind of, I would say, more. Even though I grew up and I'm aware of Harvest Moon, the more I see the story of Seasons art style, the more it grows on me in a way. I just like how more I want to say old school anime it is. They look like I would say Tezuka style. You know what I'm saying? I kind of like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from with that. I do. Yeah, I do like the style that they go for in this. It is very unique in its own sense.
Yeah, and I think it's really good. I hope people like this game as well. And obviously, for those who play Slightly games, you probably are also playing, Mysteria. You probably have played Stardew Valley. You probably did play Potionomics or these other related games. And I'm glad like this space is good enough where they can keep making this series. And I think I'm looking forward to. This is a game I might get on discount to play on the
Yeah.
side when I am forced to listen to 5-hour video essays on why the map design in Phantasy Star 2 is peak and you don't really need to use a mod to point a direction a map need to go to. I don't need that.
Don't need the yellow paint. No.
No, you don't paint God. Yeah, you don't need God. It would be so bad. But in a very serious way, I genuinely think that I genuinely think it's really cool. I hope this game does well. I really hope that like everyone like who likes this type of game picks it up. I hope you guys also check out off. If you get into the quirky RPG aesthetic, because tons of RPG there. If you like us, as we always have to say, Falcom doesn't pay us, but we have to say, please play Trails into the Sky first. It's coming out soon.
Please.
The demo is available. Pre-order it. Try the demo first, and also try Starlight Revolver if you just miss if you miss lobby RPG games, and it has a combination of roguelikes, so it's kind of cool. You'll probably enjoy both. So yeah, those are our 4 games that are coming this month.
Do it.
All right. So I want to thank you and everyone, you personally who's watching the video, and everyone else that has watched and or listened to the 8th episode of Support Save Scumming. Sithscott will be back next month with more RPG goodness. If you're not Save Scumming, start now.
Save it.
Save it. And before we go, be sure to follow us on social media. Follow us on the Outerhaven on Twitter and Blue Sky. Follow me on Getselious on Twitter and Blue Sky. Follow Scott on Twitter and Blue Sky. And we hope to see you guys in the next one.
See ya.